Rebecca Lane had built her career on sharp wit and unfiltered honesty. At 32, she was the youngest primetime news anchor in New York, a rising star whose charisma and fearless delivery kept ratings high and critics nervous. Tonight, though, was different. President Donald Trump was scheduled to appear live. As the countdown ticked down, Rebecca faced the camera with her signature smirk. "Up next," she said lightly, "the man who tweets more than he talks policy." Laughter rippled through the studio, the teleprompter flashed. "Interview starting in 30 seconds." In her earpiece, the producer murmured, "Be sharp, but keep it clean." "Ratings are through the roof." Rebecca inhaled slowly. She wasn't nervous. She'd sparred with senators and CEOs before. But Trump he represented, to her, everything broken in American politics. And she intended to say so, live on air. The screen split. Trump appeared from a quiet office, no flags, no spectacle. Just a desk, a pen, and a tired smile. "Good evening, Mr. President," Rebecca said, professional and cool. "Good evening, Rebecca. Thank you for having me," he replied calmly. She raised an eyebrow. That wasn't the tone she'd expected. "You've made quite a few headlines this week," she pressed. "Another controversial speech? More criticism of the media?" Trump chuckled softly. "Yes, I suppose I have. But I'd like to talk about something else today." Rebecca paused. "Oh? Not the economy? Immigration?" He shook his head. "No, I want to talk about forgiveness and a woman I met yesterday." The control room buzzed. "Forgiveness?" Rebecca echoed, leaning forward. "You have the floor." This wasn't the Trump she knew or thought she knew. "Yesterday," he began, "I met Grace Keller. She's a janitor at AVA Hospital in Ohio. Her husband died serving this country. Her son has special needs." And yet she smiled as she cleaned those floors. Rebecca studied him carefully. "What does that have to do with politics?" "She forgave the government for losing her husband's benefits paperwork," Trump said. "She forgave the people who forgot her sacrifice." Rebecca blinked. Her prepared questions suddenly felt useless. "I asked her why," Trump continued. She said, "Because holding on to anger only makes my son's world darker." Unbidden. Rebecca's mind drifted to a funeral 7 years earlier. Her father, a Marine buried with folded flags and unanswered questions. Years of anger she'd never let go of. She straightened. "That's a moving story," she said. "But one woman's forgiveness doesn't excuse policy failures." "You're right," Trump said simply. "It doesn't, but it reminded me that the people we overlook often carry more wisdom than we do." Rebecca hesitated. "Is there a reason you're sharing this here?" "Yes," he said. "Because I think you need to hear it." She laughed, not mockingly, but in disbelief. "Me? Why would I need a lesson on forgiveness?" "Because," Trump said evenly, "you laughed when my name was mentioned. Not from humor something deeper. I've seen it before." Rebecca froze. "You're sharp," he continued. "Passionate. But there's pain behind your critiques, not just about me." The studio fell silent. "I'm not here to defend myself," Trump said. "I've earned criticism. But sometimes we fight. So hard that we forget to heal." During the commercial break, Rebecca sat motionless, water trembling in her hand. "Keep going," the producer whispered. "This is gold," but Rebecca didn't feel triumphant. She felt exposed. When the cameras returned, her voice was steadier, but softer. "What do you mean by healing, Mr. President?" "I'm not talking about politics," he said. "I'm talking about people, you, me, everyone watching." He leaned forward. "Laughter can be a mask. I wore it once too. I was a loud man hiding a lonely heart." Rebecca didn't interrupt. "I lost a friend last month," Trump continued. "A war veteran. He left me a letter. It said, 'The man you are isn't the man you pretend to be. Let the real one speak even if it costs you votes.'" Rebecca sat straighter. "He served with your father," Trump added. "Captain Robert Lane," her breath caught. "You knew my father?" Trump nodded. "Enough to respect his courage. Enough to know he wrote to you often." Rebecca's hands trembled. "He did." "There's one more letter," Trump said, reaching into his jacket. "He asked my friend to deliver it if anything happened. It got lost. I found it last week." "He." Held it out. Rebecca stared at the folded, yellowed paper, then took it with shaking fingers. She opened it slowly. "My dear Becca," she read aloud. "If you're reading this, I didn't make it home, and that breaks my heart. But know this, your voice is your weapon. Use it, just don't let pain turn it into a sword." Her voice broke. Trump said nothing. The nation watched, but the room felt impossibly small, holding only two people, a letter, and the quiet weight of forgiveness. She continued, her voice barely above a whisper, "I love you. Be louder than hate, but gentler than anger. I believe in you." She folded the letter slowly. A tear slid down her cheek. The broadcast cut to commercial again. The studio was dead. Silent. Rebecca wiped her face with the back of her hand. Her producer leaned in and whispered, "Do you want to continue?" She nodded. "I have to." When the cameras returned, Rebecca faced Trump once more. Her voice was steadier now, stripped of armor. "I never expected that," she said. "I've been angry for years." He nodded. "It shows, and that's okay. Just don't let it write your whole story." She looked down at the letter again. "I've spent years tearing people apart. I've hated you." "Sometimes we do that," Trump said gently, "when we forget that we're broken too." Rebecca took a slow breath. For the first time on live television, she didn't know what to say next. The lights were hot. The room was still. And yet the silence wasn't awkward. It was sacred. She looked back at him. "I've hated you," she admitted again. "I know," he replied without flinching. "I thought mocking you made me stronger." She shook her head. "It didn't. It just made me louder, not better." "You're not the only one," Trump said. "I mocked people too. Hid behind applause and headlines. But I was lonely just like you." That landed harder than she expected. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Because someone has to start telling the truth about pain." Rebecca glanced around the studio she'd fought so hard to reach. Long nights, empty weekends, chasing approval instead of peace. "I never dealt with my dad's death," she said quietly. "I blame the war, the military, the government." "It's easier to blame than to grieve," Trump said. She swallowed. "My mom begged me to forgive. I couldn't. I'm still not sure I can." "Start small," he said. "Forgive one thing, just one." Rebecca met his eyes. "Okay," she whispered. "Maybe I'll start with myself." And for the first time in years, she meant it. In her earpiece, the producer whispered, 10 minutes left. End strong. But Rebecca wasn't interested in sound bites. "You surprised me tonight," she said. "People will say this was staged." Trump shrugged. "Let them. I know what I said was real." "Do you still care what people think?" she asked. "Less than I used to," he replied. "When you lose people, opinions matter less." She nodded. "You lost someone important." "A few," he said softly. "But tonight, I think I found a voice worth listening to again." Rebecca blinked. "Whose?" He smiled. "Yours." The control room froze. Analysts sat speechless. Social media exploded, some calling it healing, others manipulation. Rebecca didn't care. "For a long time," she said to the camera, "we've seen only the podium, not the pain behind it." Trump nodded. "Exactly." She turned back to him, "And maybe I forgot the man behind the headlines." "You did," he said kindly. "But so did I." Rebecca extended her hand. "For what it's worth, thank you." He took it. The screen faded, the studio lights dimmed. Rebecca sat alone at her desk, her hands still trembling as they rested on her father's letter. Trump logged off quietly, leaving behind something neither of them had expected. Her assistant approached. "You okay?" "No," Rebecca said. "Honestly, but maybe I will be." She pulled out her phone and dialed. "Mom?" A pause, a soft gasp. "Becca? Is everything all right?" Her voice cracked. "I read Dad's letter. He told me to forgive." Silence. Then her mother said gently, "He always knew you would when the time was right." Rebecca whispered, "Maybe that time is now." The next morning, headlines roared. Anchor breaks down on live TV. Trump shows rare vulnerability, real or calculated. When media meets humanity, Rebecca scrolled through the noise mockery. Praise, suspicion. Then she saw a message from a soldier's widow. "Thank you for showing your heart." My daughter watched and said, "Maybe I can forgive too." Rebecca closed her phone and smiled. She opened her laptop and began writing not an opinion piece, but an apology. A letter to her father. Days later, she launched Letters of Light, inviting people to share one letter that helped them heal. Veterans, widows, children of fallen soldiers, even politicians. Each letter was shared anonymously on air. Online, in classrooms. Rebecca read one every night before signing off. People cried, laughed, remembered. Trump sent one too. She read it live. To the man I used to be, thank you for surviving long enough to become someone better. No applause followed, only silence and reflection. For a moment, the country felt united. Weeks later, Rebecca received a call from Trump's staff. He wanted her to speak at a veterans dinner. "Why me?" she asked. "They say your voice reached people his speeches never could." At the event, she stood before rows of uniforms, her voice calm but strong. "I used to believe anger made me powerful," she said. "But forgiveness is what finally set me free." Veterans wept. Families applauded. Trump, seated quietly in the back, simply nodded. That night, Rebecca returned to her studio alone. She placed a new letter beside her father's. "Dear Dad," she read softly, "I'm sorry I waited so long to listen. I'm still angry sometimes, but I'm healing. And I'm finally using my voice for something more than headlines. I miss you. Love, Becca." She framed both letters not for viewers but for herself. Her show changed. Less fire, more truth. Accountability with humanity. Ratings dipped, then soared. One evening, a small box arrived. No return address, just a note. "Thank you." "You did what?" "I couldn't." Inside was a gold fountain pen engraved. "Your voice matters." Rebecca smiled. She looked into the camera and said, "Tonight's final story isn't about politics. It's about people. About pain. And how sometimes the person you least expect teaches you how to heal." The screen faded not to black, but to light.